something really magnificent happened. I had the beginnings of a Kundalini awakening. And I had been a Course in Miracles student for 10 years. So I had a very well-established practice of prayer and meditation, forgiveness practice. And I had that winter been reading books on Tantra and Kundalini. I had a feeling that that was kind of my next job to come to understand. Little did I know that I was going to have a Kundalini awakening. So I laid down for a nap one day and I started to get this feeling at the bottom of my spine. It was a very full, it was sexual energy. And as soon as it started, I was like, this is Kundalini energy. I knew what it was because I'd been reading about it. And so I just surrendered to this. And this energy started to rise up my back and my body started to move spontaneously. It was like I was having an adjustment. My hips would move to one side, my shoulders would be moved, my head would be moved. It was as if I was having an energetic adjustment. It was very intense, it was very sexual energy. And this energy rose up my spine and burst out the top of my head in what I can only say it was a full body orgasm after about 20 minutes. It started again and it went 3 times and it lasted about an hour and a half. And at the end of that hour and a half, I burst into tears and I just said, holy fuck. And that's what it felt like. That's exactly what it felt like. And for the next month, that happened to me every time I laid down. Oh. And so I was taken further and further into this state of bliss. And I didn't have to work that month. I just graduated from a 2-year program. And so I knew something huge was happening. And so I just surrendered to this experience. And after about a month of this, I could feel that someone or something wanted to communicate. How I knew that, I don't know. It was just the feeling. And so a friend of mine was doing an automatic writing workshop here on Salt Spring. And I was in Victoria when this happened. I'd made my 3rd escape attempt from Salt Spring. And I came over and that within 2 hours I was writing. It started out as scribbles and then I just kept turning the page as this something was moving my hand and it got more and more like handwriting. And then finally you could see this word, Ananda, Ananda, and I just kept writing Ananda. And I'd heard it, I didn't know what it meant, but I knew it was like Yogananda. They're all Ananda at the end of all the yogis' names. So that was kind of that, and at the end of that evening, everyone else went to bed, and I could feel someone wants to say something. So I sat down by myself with a little spotlight on me, and I started to write, and they said, we are Ananda, we are your guides and teachers, and we're going to write books through you. This is your life's work. You've been in training for this for the last 10 years, and now it's time. And so that was my introduction to my teachers. And so they started to write longhand with me, but they wrote so quickly that I couldn't read it when I went to transcribe it. It was too messy. And then one day I went to go to my computer and I get a feeling of bliss up, sort of a really beautiful feeling up my back when Ananda is present. And then I was like, oh, they want to type. So they started typing then. And they started writing this book, Making Love to God. I wasn't happy to be writing a book about sexual energy, just so you know. It's always been a subject that I have never understood, how it looks in our society, how disturbing it is for people, how wrong it can look, how everybody's fascinated with it and yet doesn't know what to do. It was just, I'd read many, many spiritual books, but there was always that question, but what about sex? I had this question, what about sex? What's it for? It's big, but we don't know what to do with it. So apparently that question in me came with me because it's part of my life's work to bring this material through. So they came through in June 21st, 2012, and in September they said, we're now going to prepare you to speak for us. And so over a week-long period, I would wake up in the middle of the night speaking, and they said they were doing it in the middle of the night so that my conscious mind would not interfere with the process, because it's a real process of surrender, and the ego mind wants to interfere with it, so that's why they did it in the middle of the night. And so I would wake up in bed talking about love and all kinds of interesting things. And then these energy sessions were continuing. I would lay down for an hour each day, and these massive amounts of energy would flow through my body. And so I just kept surrendering to this process. And then in October of 2012, I laid down for one of these energy sessions, and I spontaneously started to speak, and they gave a 15-minute lecture on unconditional love. And then that was it. 4 or 5 times a day I would practice, and they would just talk about whatever they wanted to talk about. All the time I'm writing this book, typing. And so that book came through in about 8 months. And then in the November, a month after I started speaking to them, they said, move back to Salt Spring, move back to Salt Spring, move back to Salt Spring. They would not shut up until I moved back here. So that's why I came back, and they've said that they want this teaching to be centered on Salt Spring, and they are going to apparently build a healing center here. That's what their goal is. So I've been told that any money that comes from books or whatever transpires with this information is to be invested on Salt Spring and to go into a healing center where this material is going to be taught, not just the sacred sexuality, but all the things we need to relearn in the Western mind. So that's their purpose, is to re-educate us. And so I found a publisher who specializes in channeled material, and I just keep sending them the book transcripts, and they keep printing them. So we've got 2 books so far. I just sent in a 3rd book, which is Jesus' autobiography. I started channeling Jesus about a year ago. And so I have transmitted the information about his life, and that's the new book that's coming out in the new year. And that's been quite an expansion of mind, and I've had to surrender a whole new level of things. And I will be offering some classes with Jesus teaching this winter, so I'll be talking about that a bit later. So I will let you meet Ananda, and we'll see what they have to say. Do you have any questions about that part? Yes, it's fun. Yes, it's scary. All of the above. So when I channel, I just close my eyes, I take 1 breath, and Ananda comes in, and you'll see clearly when I leave and they arrive. Oh, we're with you again, dear ones. Indeed, we say welcome, welcome, welcome. This is a magnificent opportunity for us. We are Ananda, we are non-physical beings. That means that we do not have a body. We are sharing a body. We are using this vehicle to bring forth information and teachings for your society. We are from many places. We are from many times. Some of us are not from places. Some of us do not exist in the way you think of existence. We have come together at this time to bring forth teachings to assist you in your modern Western society. That is our purpose. Our purpose is to help you in your awakening. Our purpose is to relieve your suffering, to help you understand what is going on in your minds that causes your suffering. Now, you have heard stories of this, of course. That is what Buddha did. That is what Jesus did. We must keep bringing information to the earth plane because of its vibration. It is important for you to understand what is going on in your world. It's important for you to understand what this physical experience is. It is important for you to understand how to work within your limitations, how to overcome your limitations through understanding, through education. And so that is our purpose. Our relationship with this being that we call the Dear One, she is very dear to us. She has offered up this body-mind complex to us to share this information. We need a voice. We need a physical being to come into your world so that you can in fact experience us. We speak to you in ideas, we speak to you in your dreams, we speak to you in music and at times your imagination. But there is something about seeing a body speaking, there is something about experiencing consciousness that is other than you are used to. in transforming your own consciousness. It is a great demonstration that there is something possible that you are not experiencing in your own ordinary state of being. And that is why we use a channel. That is why we speak through another body, because it gives you a demonstration that consciousness is not what you think it is. You are used to associating your consciousness with your physical structure, with your brain. That is not what you are. Your body is in fact a receiver. You have not been taught this. You have been taught that the thoughts that arise in your brain, mind, body, mind, are yours and yours alone. This is not so. You are in fact picking up frequencies. You are in fact tuning into stations. That is what your body is. That is its purpose. Its purpose is to take in information and to create new experiences by integrating that information. You are not taught this. You are taught that your thoughts arise from yourself, that they are you, and that is not so. You are tuning into frequencies, and the frequency that you are tuning into is set by many, many things. And so this is what we would like to start to discuss at the beginning of this process, this education process. How do you change the frequency that you are tuning into? We will speak first about ego mind. You hear this phrase, divine mind, ego mind. Ego mind is the level of consciousness that you came with into this experience. This experience is one of separation. This experience is one of individuation, individual experience. You come into this time, space, reality and create a body to have this specific individual experience. It is the opposite of unity consciousness. It is the opposite of that which you would call God. Now, we are going to say some things here that are counter to what you have been taught. Many of you in your society have this underlying belief structure that this place is made by God, that this is a divine place, and yet you look around and you see that this is clearly not so. There is death here. God, divine mind, all that is, does not understand this concept of death. This idea of death is in fact your own idea. It is not God's idea. If you imagine an all-loving, an all-giving, an all-creating being, an all-creative consciousness, this idea of death is anathema to that idea. It makes no sense. It is not logical. It is not what God would do. It is what the ego would do. It would create something that scared you so much that you were in fear, that you were running scared all the time. And this is an idea that we want you to think about. We want you to think about this idea of death as an illusion. It is indeed that. It is difficult for you to believe this because you seem to be living in a body. You seem to be a body. But you are in fact the animating force only of your body. You are an idea in the mind of God. You are in fact made by love, for love, to give love, to give and receive love. But you are not taught this. You are not indoctrinated into this philosophy in your society. You are told that you are a body, that you live, that you die, that you must defend yourself, that it is unsafe. There are many, many ideas that permeate the human consciousness. And this is why it is so important for you to begin to reprogram the mind. The mind is the vibration into which you are tapping. So if you are raised in a society that believes in death, if you are raised in a society that believes in individuality, which of course your society does to the nth degree, it is all about individuality, following your pleasures, your passions, your fears. When you are raised in a society that has this indoctrination taking place, then you are given a great handicap. If you were raised in a society that believed in self-expression, that believed in love, that believed in nurturing, that believed in kindness, your experience would be very different, even though it is one of separation from all that is. It would be a much more positive experience. So we are here to begin to help you understand what has happened to you, what is happening to you, and how to overcome these misteachings, for they are misteachings. You are a divine being who is temporarily housed through what some would consider an error, but it is not an error, it is just an experience. You are temporarily housed in a physical structure that you call your body, that you keep mistaking for who you are. It is not who you are. You are the animating force. You are that which makes this body work. Your body is a manifestation of all the beliefs you hold. When you are physically incarnated in a body, the biggest belief that it demonstrates is your belief in separation, your belief that you have been abandoned by God. That is the belief that it represents. That is why having a body is such a challenge, because your body represents your physical belief in limitation, isolation, and separation. That is why it gets sick. That is why you have such a difficult time residing in it, because it represents these ideas. Now, this is very, very different from what you have been taught in your society. You have been taught that God created your body. But if you think about it again, if God created your body, this all-benevolent, all-loving, all-powerful essence, why would so much go wrong with your body? Why would it be such a liability? Why would it appear to die? This is not logical, given the qualities that you imagine God has. These are things that are great, grand concepts. These are things that are logical if you go into them, if you think about them. But in your society, you are not taught to think about these ideas. You are taught to be searching outside of yourself for distraction, for pleasure, for entertainment. And so these concepts are life-changing concepts, because if you realize that your body is only a representation of ideas in the mind, you begin to require of it different things. But many of you ask of your body that which it cannot give you. You ask your body to bring you love. You ask your body to do many, many things that it is incapable of doing. So we would ask you to look at this idea of the body as a representation of separation, but it is animated by divinity. This is a paradox, is it not? There seems to be the profane and the divine in the same vehicle, and this is indeed so. Why? Because your world is a world of separation. That is exactly what you are experiencing. You are experiencing the split mind, the separated mind. Not only have you separated yourself from oneness, not have you only separated yourself from all that is, but you are physically manifesting that separation every second of every day. It is the devil and the angel. That is what you are experiencing. This idea of the split mind is what you feel. You know what is good for you, and yet you do the opposite. What is motivating you there? What is causing you to use your body at times for things that you know are not good for you, that you know are detrimental to your health or to your spiritual welfare? This is a demonstration of the split mind. The split mind is what you are living in your ordinary consciousness. And so we are seeking to bring teachings that will allow you to reintegrate the mind, and so reconnect with that which is love. Reconnect with your awareness of that divine presence within you. It is always there. It is what you are made of, but there are veils upon veils of forgetfulness that have descended upon you in your separation from that which you would call oneness, that which you would call God. You have made a detour into fear, and that is what this world is. That is why when you look around, you see war and starvation and death and attack. These are not qualities of oneness. These are not qualities of love, of all that is. When you hear the phrase that God is love, you say that cannot be so, and yet you keep being told this. You keep being told you are all one, you are part of this one consciousness, and yet you look around and you see that it is not so. You see that it is not so because you are seeing demonstration upon demonstration of separation. That is what you are looking at. And the world that you see arises from the collective consciousness of all of you that are here. So when you have beliefs in your mind about attack being beneficial, when you have beliefs in your mind about death, when you have beliefs in your mind about self-centeredness, these are going to be manifested in the world. This world is your self-expression in all its facets, good, bad, and indifferent. It is being shown to you. This is what the world is. It has been referred to as a dream, as an illusion. It is in fact a movie playing out, and you are the director. You are directing all of the participants in the dream that you are watching. You are in charge of the lights, you are in charge of casting, all of these aspects. You are seeing your internal condition reflected back to you in the world. And when you think about what is going on in your mind, worries about money, hatred of the body, judgment of others, these are often the frequencies that you are experiencing in the mind. These are the frequencies that are going to be manifest in your world. You are a creator. You are a spark from that which you would call God. You are not made by God. You are part of God. You are God's self-expressing, but without awareness, without self-realization. That is what we are helping you towards. Self-realization means you know what and who you are and why you are here. It is not enlightenment, it is a different condition. It is a being that is still experiencing separation, still experiencing the body as a vehicle, but doing it with understanding, doing it with complete comprehension of what this place is. It means that you will be traveling through this world, remembering that it is only reflecting your inner condition. It is showing you your beliefs. It is showing you what you are. And so if you do not like what you are experiencing, changing it out here does nothing, because it is in here that the creation is coming from. It is in your thoughts, it is in your ideas, it is in your beliefs, and then those manifest into words and behaviors. So changing behaviors does nothing, because behaviors arise from belief. This is why when we will say go on a diet, this is something that many of you understand, this concept of changing behavior to achieve a certain end. This is why many of these behaviors do not work, because the eating habits that you have arise from beliefs that you hold. And so as you change the behavior, you will get a certain amount of effect, because you are exerting your will. But your will cannot override your beliefs. If you believe something that is out of accord with your behavior, it is impossible for you to maintain that behavior. And the same thing applies if you believe an attack. If you believe that attacking somebody is going to bring you something, then you cannot be peaceful, because it is counter to something that you believe. And when you believe something, it becomes true for you. So what has this all to do with sex and lovemaking and passion, this subject? We have to lay these ground rules so that you can understand where this teaching is coming from. You can understand what you are experiencing. So here we have a being, you, who has taken a detour into fear. The original impetus for this journey is a difficult one for you to understand in your current consciousness. We will say that an idea skittered across the mind of that which you would call the divine, and because of that tremendous creative power, that idea became manifest, and that is the world that you are living in. But you have gone through many iterations of this idea of separation. That is your incarnational history. So you have gone deep into the rabbit hole. You have gone deep into fear. And there are layers upon layers of limitation and fear and manipulation that have taken place in the mind to allow you to be in some sense of tentative peace in your mind. So as you experience this body that you have a system, a feedback system. It is your emotions, your feelings. This is the most important thing for you to take away from this experience today. To understand that your emotional feeling self is your map home. You have taken yourself out of unity consciousness, out of oneness, into this journey into separation and individuality. But what came with you is an infallible guidance system. What came with you is the trail of breadcrumbs to take you back to oneness. And that is your feeling emotional self. So of course in your Western society, this is a very difficult thing, because very early on you are taught not to listen to this system of feelings and emotions. You are trained out of listening to your feelings and emotions. You are taught to override this guidance system. And this is where the problems begin. Separation is difficult enough. You do not need to add repression and oppression to it. It is a challenge enough to be separated from unity consciousness in the individual experience. There are societies on other planets, yes, there are such things. There are societies on other planets whose focus is love, whose focus is creativity, whose focus is self-expression. And even though they are separated from unity consciousness, the journey through that creative adventure is very pleasurable. It is very wonderful. And that is what we would like to begin to lead you to. We would like you to begin to really understand what your guidance system is. So we will take a little break, a minute or two, to let our dear one's throat rest. And then we will go into your feeling emotional self and how it begins to affect your sexual energy. We will define what your sexual energy is, and we will take you on a journey into yourself that perhaps you have not gone on before. There is going to be a lot of information coming your way. We do not want you to be overwhelmed. What we want you to know is that this information is going into your body-mind structure, whether or not you understand it, whether or not you remember it consciously, whether or not it feels as if you are in control of the information as it is going into your brain. We are able to access your mind in ways that are out of accord with normal consciousness when we are transmitting in this way. You may feel sleepy, you may feel overwhelmed, you may feel as if your mind is drifting a little bit into a different state. Surrender to that, do not fight it, but know there are great changes going on in your body mind and you will benefit from them. We are coming from love with love. You do not need to fear this. We are not manipulating in any way. We are merely shifting your vibration a little bit, and we only ever shift vibration up so you can relax and enjoy it. It will only benefit you. It will only make you feel good. So we will take a short break and we will be back in a short while.